Welcome to my channel, Mom in France. That's me. If you're a parent thinking or dreaming of moving to France, or you're an expat who already lives here, this is the channel for you. Today we are talking about salt dough. What is salt dough? It's the easiest homemade Play-Doh you can make. Make sure to watch to the end because I have a question for you and I want you to think about it, and at the end I'm going to give you the answer. Why do we add salt to salt dough? Why don't you just use water and flour? Let me show you the ingredients. We have flour. We're going to use 2 cups of flour, salt, and water. That's all. We're going to start with a little cup. I'm going to use just a little coffee cup today because that's all we're going to need. Okay, so I'm just going to, since it's a clean cup, go ahead and dip it in the flour bag. And count out. Ooh, gotta measure better. 1, 2. Now we're going to take 1 cup of salt. Okay, dump it in the bowl. And now I'm going to measure out the water. 1 cup. Okay, now before I put in the water, I'm just going to use my hands. Very appropriate child thing to do. Okay, so that's kind of mixed up there. And I'm just going to put in, I say about 75% of the water. Most of the water, but just leaving some at the bottom. Okay, so now we just have to take our hands and start mixing. So why did I decide to show you this today? Well, because I actually discovered this when I came to France. I honestly didn't know about it before. Maybe it already exists in other countries, but it's my daughter does it in her preschool, and it's just such an easy, simple Play-Doh equivalent that you can make at home. I mean, do you guys not have flour and salt in your cupboard? I mean, and it's just so cheap. And honestly, I've just, at the store, I find that these Play-Dohs now with this toxic stuff in them, they get to be really expensive. And at the end of the day, the kids, especially when they're toddlers, they just don't really care that there's, perfect Play-Doh. And this comes out really, really just as well as a normal Play-Doh. Almost. It's not quite perfect, but it's really good. So that's why I thought I'd show you how to make it, and you're going to see it's really simple and fast. Another really great advantage of this salt dough is that it's non-toxic, of course. I mean, it's probably not a good idea to eat it, especially with all the salt in there, but hey, if it goes in the mouth, it's not going to be like a poison or something, So, okay, so I've just been mixing it up with my hands here. It's starting to bunch together, but it's still dry, so I'm just going to add the rest of the water. And with this, if you've put all the ingredients in properly, the way you're supposed to, if it comes out a little bit sticky, you can add a little bit more flour, and if it's just not quite enough, it's a little bit too dry, you can add a little bit extra water, and it really doesn't make a difference. It's very flexible. I mean, it forgives you. I'm going to take it out on the table here, which I've already washed, and put just a little bit of flour down, and knead it for about 5 minutes, just to kind of get it really smooth. It's already pretty good, but well, it hasn't even been 5 minutes and it's already really smooth. In fact, it's just a tiny bit dry. I'm just going to add a tiny bit more water in the middle here. Okay, and then just drop a little bit extra off on the grass. Well, in the garden, conveniently, just drop a bit extra on the side. Doesn't go on the kitchen floor. Okay, there we go, it's done. And it's a little bit sticky at the moment, but it's just going to work its way in. The water will work its way through the dough and it'll be fine in just a second. Now the great thing about this is it really it has the consistency of Play-Doh. And if you see, you just, if you can see, if you push it in, it will just keep its shape. And it's not like too elastic the way dough would be. And it's also not sticky. One other thing that you can do with this, if you don't use it all right away, because we used a little coffee cup size, but it's actually made quite a lot. So you can take half of it and stick it and wrap it in plastic and stick it in the fridge for say a week or something. Or what I do is I actually stick it in the freezer and keep it several months. So hey, you can just pull it out at any time at your convenience and it's all ready to go. If you want, you can also add a little bit of food coloring to this, and that's fine. It will be wonderful, has its a beautiful color as you're working it. If you leave it to dry though, the color will fade a bit. The other thing that you can do is, if we can just make a quick shape here. I don't know, I'm gonna make a Christmas tree as we're talking. Why not? And after you've made it, you can just leave it to air dry. It will take quite a long time. If you put it out in the sun on a nice day like today, that's great. It will take a couple hours to dry, especially if it's a really hot day. Or you can just stick it in the oven at low temperature for 2 or 3 hours, and it will harden and it will keep its shape as a real Play-Doh. So, okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Here's my non-finished Christmas tree. And subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and click the notification bell. Leave me a comment below if you want to see more content like this. Let me know if you have any questions about life in France or about family life or parenting. Now, I don't actually know the official answer to this, but as an ex-scientist before I became a mom, I believe that the reason you add salt to this is because salt is hygroscopic. That means it has the property of sucking water, taking water into it. So that's what makes the dough not sticky. Also, the salt in the dough prevents the gluten from in the flour from developing too much and creating that elasticity like bread. So when you work the Play-Doh with your fingers to make a shape, it holds its shape and it doesn't kind of bounce back into a blob the way maybe bread dough would do. Okay, so that's all the explanations that I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day. Bye bye. I've pretty much got it done now already, but we are just going to